You may think your house is clean, safe, and healthy, but there could be mold and mildew lurking behind your walls or under your crawl space. Today we're going to show you the steps that you can take as a homeowner to have a more healthy home. So stay right there, it's all coming up next. Now, we all know that keeping a clean house is half the secret to having a healthy home. But how about those things we can't see, like mold and mildew that may be lurking behind the walls or in the basements or crawl space? Well, this is my family's vacation home. It's a 200-year-old log cabin. We saved it from destruction and had it moved to the top of this mountain. This past winter, it got really cold up here. We had pipes that froze. We even had a roof leak. So we had people come in and take care of all those repairs, but now what I'm concerned about is maybe the mold and mildew that was caused by that damage and was left behind. Michael Davis is an expert when it comes to finding mold and getting rid of it. Let's go in and see what he's found out about this cabin. Hey Mike, what are you doing?
Hey, just finishing up the mold testing.
Testing it out here in the middle of the room?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Actually, it's a common question that we get is, why are you doing testing of the air? I can see the mold on the walls.
Right.
And actually, the reason is most of the mold you see on the wall is only about 10% of what's actually in the air. And you're breathing what's in the air. You're not licking the walls.
Well, that's true. I usually try not to do that. So you have to sample the air to find out what kind of mold we have. What are the dangers of mold?
Well, there's all kinds of dangers, and actually there's been a lot of recent study in the dangers of mold, specifically the health problems. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people that call us and ask us about mold are concerned. Is my family at risk? Are my dogs at risk, etc.? And you are. There's been links to asthma, cancer, and even allergic reactions where you can't even live in your house because you're just allergic to your own home.
Wow. So the mold that is in the air, trying to kill that and control that has got to be a difficult function.
Oh, it is, definitely.
So is your first deal to identify what kind of mold it is?
Yeah, the first thing is you want to see if you actually have mold. A lot of consumers will believe that just because I can see it, I have it. That's not necessarily true. So you want to have a reputable company come in and do sampling, which is what we're doing here today.
Well, see, that's one of my questions is because, and I know with my viewers too, a lot of times things that we can't see, like in the air, you have a company come in and you're really afraid of being maybe ripped off?
Of course, yeah. Well, the first thing we tell customers is you should always separate the companies that are doing the work for you. That's the best way to get that safety that you're not going to get, bamboozled or scammed. And the way you can do that is have a separate company do the sampling like we're doing today, and a separate company actually get rid of the mold if there is any mold in the property.
Okay, so you have a checks and balance system,
Exactly.
And then that company would come back and test it afterwards?
You got it, exactly. You want to do one before, have them do the work, and then come backwards and actually get
Okay,
rid
so
of it.
who reads this test then?
Actually, it's a third-party lab. Well, the best companies, the reputable companies, use a third-party lab. They'll take these individual cells and they'll actually mail them to a lab, and they'll grow them. And they'll see what type of mold did we find in the air, and they'll give you back a lab report.
Okay, so how does this work?
Well, it's very simple. It's kind of like a vacuum. Basically, we turn this on, and air starts flowing through the machine. We let it run for a couple of minutes, and this little petri dish right here collects all those little spores that are in the air onto basically a gel-like surface. We then collect this, and we send it out to the lab for review.
And then they send you back a report, and then you know what you have to do with it.
Exactly. Yeah, they'll send us a report that shows us two major things. One, what type of mold are we dealing with? And then two, is it still alive and is it growing? Because a lot of cases, you may have had a water intrusion, and maybe it was 6-7 months ago, and you have mold, but it's dead. That's a different type of situation than mold that's actively growing.
Okay.
Because actively growing mold is not only a concern today, but it's going to continue to grow and be a bigger concern in the future.
Okay. Now, once you identify, does it make any difference about how you go about cleaning it based upon what kind of mold it is?
Yes, it does. I mean, there's lots of different types of mold, and you want to know what you're dealing with so that you can adequately come up with a plan to get rid of the mold. There's many industry experts who will say if you have mold, just get rid of all of it. But you don't want to necessarily get rid of all of the mold. You want to actually equal.
I mean, there's good mold and
Yeah,
bad
there's
mold?
actually good mold. I mean, lots of good mold. We have penicillin. We have all these different, great technologies that were developed from good mold. And yet, we don't want to get rid of all the mold in the home. We actually want to equal the mold in the home with the mold that's outside. And so a reputable company will do sampling not just in the property, but outside too, to make sure that those numbers are equal.
Now, is this the only kind of test you can do to actually find that out?
No, there's different types of tests. There's what's called a swab test, where you take a swab off of the mold off a wall or whatever surface. There's a tape sample, where you can actually take a piece of tape and take that off. But in the end, you all want to get them reviewed by a third-party lab.
Okay, so that's the key thing.
Yes.
To find a reputable company, have someone else test it, get those results, have somebody else do the work.
You got it.
Okay.
Exactly.
And then you'll know exactly that you're getting, and then have that company come back and test after.
Yeah, and even the best companies out there are giving warranties as well. So they'll make sure that when they do the job, that all the mold's gone, and they're going to guarantee it for a period of time.
So do you have somebody come back in and test the air, like say maybe 6 months down the line?
We recommend that, actually. Yeah, we actually recommend, and we've been working with a couple industry associations to help homeowners do that on a yearly basis to make sure that moisture
just like
problem
getting your
isn't
furnace
coming
checked
back.
or something.
You got it, exactly.
Testing for mold can be a lengthy process. Dave and his crew are experts when it comes to detecting and removing mold. What are the test results from my cabin? Let's find out.
Okay, now that we know we have mold inside the house, what do we do about underneath the house?
Well, when we did our testing before, we actually do testing in all areas of the home, not just the ones you live in.
Okay.
And the reason for that is that your home actually breathes. So air moves from the bottom of your home all the way up to the top, and it keeps cycling. And so what we need to do is we need to get in here into your crawl space, another spot in your home, and actually do some sampling in there.
That's pretty yucky in there.
Oh yeah, I assume you haven't been in there.
No, I haven't been in there, and snakes are not my favorite. But underneath the crawl space, what did you guys find?
Well, I found a couple different things, and sadly, it's not too good. First thing is we found that the foundation wasn't properly sealed, so water's coming into the foundation when it rains. We also saw the insulation was put in upside down, which is definitely not going to help out things.
I did not install that installation. I want to go on record right now. Upside down.
We also found some leaky pipes. And so you got all of those three things coming together are causing what we found were actually a really bad case of mold. Actually, it's hanging like icicles in there.
Oh, wow. So you take pictures of that in there?
Yeah, we take pictures. As part of our inspection, the sampling is more just to know how we can attack the problem. But we do documentation from photos, as well as we give you a condition report on what exactly you need to do and how to fix the problem. Because mold isn't your issue here. It's the moisture, those leaky pipes in the foundation.
Okay, well, now that we know we definitely have a mold problem in here and we have a mold issue inside the house, we need to take care of that before we go forward into anything else.
You got it. The first thing we tell customers is you got to go ahead and get rid of the moisture first.
Okay.
If we come in and get rid of the mold, I guarantee you within 24 hours it's going to be back.
Okay, so that brings in another company that does that kind of work. Okay, so now we're up to 3 companies: the sampler, the mold removal group, and the people to fix the moisture problem.
You got it.
Okay. All right. Now, what was the process that you went through to get rid of the mold in this cabin?
So we're an enzyme-based mold remediation company. So what that means is we actually have a unique enzyme which actually digests the mold. So instead of us having to go in here and gut out your crawl space and whatnot, we had a much simpler and faster process, which is we went in there, pulled out all the insulation, and basically one of our guys crawl in there, very small guy, as you can imagine, fog the enzyme, kind of like a bomb that you'd use in your house for bugs or things like that.
Okay, and that enzyme is in that
It's in that, exactly, yeah. It's in that fog, that very dense fog. It goes into the crawl space and it expands and fills up all the air that's in the crawl space. And like mold, where it feeds on moisture, our enzyme feeds on mold. Okay. So the more mold there is, the more it eats. And so we basically go in there, put that fog in there, rub down all the surfaces with the enzyme as well. So I'm going to have some
really fat enzymes when I get through in my house.
No. Once the mold is gone, actually, most of the enzymes die. And so because they have no more food to eat, right? The last step of the process is come back in, rub everything down one more time with our actual enzyme, and that actually puts the enzyme into the surface.
So you dust all the furniture, all the picture frames.
Yeah, it's the best cleaning your house will ever have because we touch everything.
Yeah. I like that. When you fog, do you have to vacate the house?
Yeah, we recommend at least 24 hours, maybe even 48, depending on how bad the house is.
Okay.
And it's a great opportunity for you to get away for the kids and have a vacation.
Yeah, absolutely. But now those enzymes that are left inside of there, they're not harmful to people.
No, they're 100% organic. They come directly from plants, and we just actually take it out of the plant's enzyme and go ahead and put it into the air. Once it's gone, it goes away.
Okay, great. So it seems like the process is really, it's very logical. It follows just right along the line, and it really does save a lot of destruction because we didn't have to tear any walls apart or any of that.
You got it. Other mold remediation approaches involve just remodeling, where they'd actually come in and redo everything in your crawl space. So they'd want to lift up the house or whatever it is and get in there. Other methods use chemicals that are not only dangerous to the people using the chemicals, but you later. And things like hydrochloric acid and things like that if you just touch a little bit of it, could be very, very hazardous. So
so there is a green way to get rid of mold.
100%.
And you want to do your research. You want to work with good, reputable companies and you want to have that. I love that idea of testing, have one company test, one do the work.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
The best companies will actually walk you through that process. So we actually, most of an engagement for us with a customer is usually multiple weeks, because we're not only just saying, here, go fix your water, leaky pipes.
Yes.
We'll actually help refer somebody maybe that we've used before that does a good job, and we'll make sure that they do a good job before we come back in.
Okay, well the issue here is to take care of the problems, get rid of that moisture,
Yep.
and then deal with the mold issue and get it out of there.
You got it.
All right, I'm going to let your team do their work.
Great.
I gave a quick call to Blair Blake and asked for his help in managing this situation. He's an expert when it comes to crawl spaces and keeping them nice and dry.
The list I gave Vicki was about 6 things. And the first thing that had to happen was we needed to get the wood off the floor. There were some wood piers in there, and so we had to replace that with masonry piers. So I gave Larry McGee a call from McGee Brothers, and they got in there in a period of about a day, day and a half. We're able to swap out those piers because we didn't want that to be a long-term structural issue or a termite issue, which leads me to the second point on my list. We wanted to get a termite inspection. Anytime you do a sealed crawl, you don't want to cover up an issue. So we had a good reputable termite company come in here and do an inspection to make sure and spray for termites as well as on the wood and the perimeter. The third thing we wanted to do, an intricate part of a sealed crawl is indoor air quality. So we wanted to greatly improve that. And anytime you have a house that has a crawl space, you're going to have penetrations from the crawl space to the house. We wanted to air seal all that to keep that from happening. And so we did that with spray foam. So that had to happen before we got in there as well. The fourth thing we wanted to do is, since we're in the mountains, water runs very fast and very furious. So we wanted to put some drainage, and you can either do that on the outside or the inside. But again, with Vicki's situation, it made sense to come on the inside and put an interior French drain. And then we gravitationally drain it. We did that because we didn't want to have a sump pump relying on power as a result of this. So we gravitationally drained that water out. Then we were ready to encapsulate. We laid down 15 mil plastic. It's a Mylar. It's 2 pieces of plastic that are melted together that we lay on the floor and the wall of the crawl space. And then on top of that, we insulate the wall. It's insulation wrapped in vinyl, so it's a good air seal as well. Then we air seal the band seal. We actually caulk all the way around the band seal, and we tape and caulk the seams with inorganic tape and caulk. Again, because a crawl space is a very potentially moist environment, we want to build in redundancy here. And the sixth and final thing is that she needs her furnace and air condition placed back in the crawl space, and then it's going to blow a small amount of air into the crawl space to condition that. It will be blowing dry air at about 30 CFM. And after that, Vicki's got a crawl space that she won't have to think about for a quarter century, and that's a pretty incredible thing.
Termites can be really scary for a homeowner. Just because you can't see them doesn't mean they don't exist. We definitely have signs that termites are present here. Brad and Jack are on the job, eliminating insects and preventing their return.
Is a plastic product. It's been around for over 40 years. We've done extensive work with it in many different applications. This product is applied as a liquid, foams up and forms this solid membrane. As such, it adheres to all the surfaces to which it's sprayed. It's able to bridge gaps and seal around penetrations such as pipes or plumbing penetrations, electrical wiring that goes through the floor area. Therefore, it's a complete air seal of this floor. As such, you're able to condition the space in the crawl space, but it's functioning as an insulation, as an air seal, as a moisture vapor retarder.
The crawl space looks so great that maybe I'll even venture under the cabin someday. Well, maybe not. Did you know that bad indoor air quality has been tied to symptoms like headaches, fatigue, trouble concentrating, and irritation of the eyes, nose, throat, and lungs? It's true. Cleaner air can help keep you healthy.
The next time you walk into your house, pause for just a moment. Take a nice deep breath. Does it smell and feel clean and healthy? How about those odorless dangers that are lurking that we can't smell or we can't detect? And what's the humidity level like in your house? Well, Phil McConnell has some great information on how we can control and improve the air quality in our houses. Hi, Phil.
Hi, Vicki.
You know, this just seems to be becoming much more of an issue than it was, say, in the past. Why so?
Well, we're starting to build our homes more energy efficiently. So what we've done is we've intentionally sealed off the fresh air ventilation, the outside air that used to come into the house by taking energy efficiency measures. So the natural ventilation that we used to get just doesn't occur anymore.
And how can we kind of reverse that process?
Well, the key generally is to bring fresh air in a place where you can control it. Mechanical ventilation or controlled ventilation means bringing air from outside, introducing it into a house in a way that you can control how much comes in, where it comes in from.
Now, where's the best place to do that filtering?
Well, generally, it's a mechanical system that sits next to your central air conditioning system. It brings the outside air in, it introduces it into the ductwork, and the ductwork takes care of the rest, delivering the fresh air to the places where you and I are living.
Okay, so the filters that are like on our cold air returns in our house, that's not really doing the same thing we're talking about at all.
Yeah, right. They serve a different purpose. Generally, those filters are designed to keep the ductwork and the air conditioning equipment clean and make sure it's operating effectively. We're talking about a little bit different thing here with fresh air ventilation. When you bring outside air in, it makes sense to filter the things that you don't want that are coming in, like mold spores or pollen, for example. And when you bring fresh air in a controlled way, you have the ability to control those things and eliminate those things if they're not beneficial.
Well, I know with so many children and adults as well having allergies and problems like that, it's really important to control the quality of that air coming in.
Yeah, generally because of, again, we've built our houses very tight, which is great for energy efficiency, but then we bring in a lot of stuff into the houses that we may not like to live around. So fresh air ventilation helps dilute the concentration levels of those indoor pollutants.
Okay. Now, how about the humidity? You know, we've been talking a lot in this show about humidity and the dangers of it, where mold and all is concerned. But is there a little bit of, we want a little humidity in there, right? But we don't want it to get out of hand?
That's exactly right. Humidity is important for us in terms of how comfortable we are in our homes. Too much humidity is a problem because it tends to lead to problems with the home, comfort problems. It also promotes the growth of dust mites and mold, things that we generally are sensitive to. So when you're bringing in fresh air, it's important to think, is the outside air how much moisture is in the outside air? Is it too humid? Can I bring it in without doing some drying of it? The other part of it is that we tended to rely on our air conditioners to do all the drying. As we cut down on air conditioning runtime because of our energy efficiency, then we lose the drying capability of our home. So sometimes a separate dehumidification system is important so that we can bring outside air in the humid times of the season and still be comfortable in our homes.
Okay, so a unit like we're talking about today is really something that's just trying to kind of stabilize between our energy efficient building practices and our equipment that we're using to heat and cool our homes.
That's exactly right, with an emphasis on creating a healthy environment inside. The number one priority when we build homes should be to create a healthy environment for the occupants, you and I and our families. And so fresh air ventilation and humidity control is a key component to that.
Okay, well, I think that this really gives us a good idea about what we need to do in order to improve the air quality in our homes and to reduce excess moisture in it so that our whole environment just works more energy efficient and is healthier.
And comfortable as well.
Thanks for explaining this, Phil.
You bet. Thank you.
Think that all the problems are inside or under the house? What about your yard? The source of your problems could be as close as your own backyard.
We have been all over the place with today's show. That's because we want to make sure whatever kind of house you live in, that you're prepared to take care of moisture problems or mold or mildew. I'm here with a stucco house, and our stucco specialist is Curtis. Curtis, do we need to worry about mildew getting into this stucco?
No, ma'am, we do not.
That's good news.
This is a concrete product with an acrylic finish over top of it.
Okay.
So it's good to go. It's
All right.
good weather type.
So what do we have to worry about for maintenance-wise with these kind of houses?
Well, in this instance right here, this is what we have to worry about. This joint is not caulked. This will allow moisture back into the wall and back into the framing. This is what we have to be careful with.
Okay, because that'll cause like our mold out here, or excuse me, our trim out here to start molding and getting rotten?
Correct. I mean, we have to worry about the molds the first thing, and the framing behind it would be the second part of it.
Okay.
But it is protected behind this. But with this joint right here, this is going to be a big problem.
So this needs to be caulked, okay?
Most definitely.
Is that like a do-it-yourself project to get in there and do that?
You can do that. I would suggest that you probably hire somebody to do this. I mean, because we're talking about a large house. We're talking about 2-story spaces,
okay.
And somebody that's familiar with doing caulking work needs to do this.
Okay. So bring out your specialist out here to take a look at your house, give it an inspection. How often should a homeowner get their house inspected if it's inspections,
once or twice every few years. It's not. And inspection is not as important as having this looked at.
Okay, so you need to be aware yourself.
Yes,
to look for it.
Exactly. It's like any product. You've got to maintain it, and to maintain it correctly, you need to do this at least once a year. And the most important part is around doors and windows.
Okay.
So you got to maintain the caulking.
All right, so they need to get in here, recaulk all this, and it looks like to me, if there's a crack coming down here, it's probably across the top of the windows. It's everywhere. So get somebody out who knows what they're doing.
Absolutely.
And that's younger than you and me that's ready to get up on that ladder on the second floor, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, remember, if you got a stucco house, you are not free from problems with moisture. Have a specialist take a look at it.
From crawl spaces to attics, you need to always be on the lookout for mold and moisture. But don't stop there. The outdoor presents its own issues.
Today we've been talking about mold on the inside of our houses and how to deal with that. But did you ever stop and think that maybe the indoor mold started outdoors in your yard? Organic gardener Billy Stiles is with me today, and he's going to tell us how we can reduce those problems.
Well, first, Vicki, it's a beautiful place here, but there's some things that's going on, and it's not really right out in your face unless you really look a little bit deeper.
Okay, so what's going on wrong here in the
Well,
yard?
they're actually putting way too much irrigation on this property. That, along with the rain, is creating a lot of moisture up against the foundation. As you can see, the way this land flows, all of our water through irrigation and rain is hitting right up against the foundation.
And there's nothing you can do about the fall of this land. It's all the way down the street.
At this point now, we want to make sure that when it hits here, that it's got a way to run off, okay?
Okay.
So we want to teach them how to reduce their water through creating healthy soil in the landscape. That's one way to reduce the water, make sure that we got good drain off. But these folks are actually doing something that really surprised me, because they're cutting and trimming their bushes correctly and keeping them away from the
Well,
house.
let's see what it looks like when you do the right thing.
Okay, great. Now, Vicki, take a look down through the house here. As you can see, they've already cut their bushes and are keeping them trimmed away from the house. Now, what's that going to do?
It's going to let the air go there so mold can't grow?
Exactly right. And that's going to help the house and the shrub. Because good circulation is important for both of them. But now if we look on up a little bit, we can see that the crepe myrtle is actually touching the roof and could do a lot of damage, such as?
Well, it's going to cause mold to grow up on top of the roof, I'm thinking. It's in the gutters, so it could cause back up there and water flood into it. And could we possibly even cause leaks in the shingle if the mold gets bad up there?
Absolutely, and run right on inside the wall. You're right on target with that. So we want to make sure that we don't just look at the bottom. We want to make sure we're checking our whole landscape and all of our trees that's over the house.
Okay.
Now, these folks have really done some good work here.
But how about this trellis that's on the wall here? That doesn't look like it's a good thing.
But it's not on the wall. You want to go check it out?
Well, what's supporting this pachysandria then if it's not attached to the wall?
Well, as you can see, it's clearly not against the wall. This is on a steel trellis, and it really some great planning went on when they put this in, because they put it away from the wall. This can damage your brick, your stucco, and as you can see, there's a lot of space back here.
There must be, because this is pachysandria with big old long thorns, and you wouldn't dare put your arm back there.
No way.
Let's try.
Be careful even up front here.
Yeah.
So there really is some great planning, as I said, in this here. So this area is going to be great.
And you have to be really careful with stucco too, don't you, and wood siding, because they're going to be more absorbent of the moisture if you get it right against it.
And depending on what your plan is, they actually can root into the wall, separate siding, crack mortar, and just destroy stucco.
Keep it out here on a deal. And probably you have to set this in a little cement for something as heavy
Something this heavy, you got to really plan for
the
future.
Well, that's good to know. That's a good tip. I like that.
Yeah. Now, but we got some other problems here. I want to show you another little area, okay?
Okay, sure. Lead the way.
Now, Vicki, this is where all that water's ending up at. It's coming off the front yard. Absolutely.
It's running down here, but that doesn't look like a big deal because that's just a stone foundation there.
Well, water's going to go right straight through this foundation underneath the house and cause issues. If you take a little bit closer look, we can see right here that we actually have a foundation vent that is below grade of ground, and the water's just going to flow right over what's called this dry well. That's the little wall out here. Go up underneath the house and cause major issues for this home.
Absolutely, because the crawl space is going to be all wet and there's not going to be a way to dry out.
Absolutely. So we have to stop it before it gets here, and then they need to keep an eye on this and monitor this.
Okay, so everything seems to be doing pretty good around here, bushes, trellis, all that, except for the problems that are being caused by overwatering. How are we going to eliminate that?
Well, we want to teach these folks how to create a healthy soil environment that has water holding capacities, and get them, instead of watering every other day or every third day, watering only once or twice a month.
Once or twice a month. We're living in the South here, Billy. Come
Exactly right. Who's watering the forest?
No,
Who's
that's
watering
true,
the
that's
wild?
true.
Who's watering the meadows?
So if they have healthy
Healthy
soil,
soil.
they can cut down on the irrigation.
Absolutely.
But what about when the rain comes? They can't
So
control that.
we can't stop this. So what we're going to recommend is come through here and put a French drain in.
Okay.
And so the water that we have on the surface coming in, we can capture that, move it around to the back side of the house, and let it flow down through the.
Is that an expensive process?
It's a lot cheaper than fixing the foundation of a house, let me tell you. Not even a fraction of the cost of what it would cost you to repair this.
Well, that's absolutely true because, you know, you want to spend your money
Right.
wisely and you want to do the things that preserve your home.
Yeah, so people need to check their homes out and make sure that you're in touch with your home. And little things like this that's hidden,
Yep.
you may not even know about.
And common sense, below the
Absolutely.
ground level, you're going to have problems.
Least resistance, that's where the water's going.
Today's show was so jam-packed with information. I hope you found some things that you can use around your own house. I want to thank my guests today. They really lent so much expertise to this important topic. Join me next time here on For Your Home when I'll share more great ideas for projects that you can do to improve your home and garden.
If you would like additional information about today's guests or project ideas, please visit us on the web at foryourhome.com. We will do our best to help you out.